Starting. Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, and today I'm hanging out with Ruty Rutenberg from Maze Arcana, Twitch partner, D&D partner, DM's Guild Adept. It's just growing. Screenwriter, actor, underwear model.
Oh man, Satine, Jesus.
Well,
that was an interesting.
I was looking for a thumbnail, right? And there's you in the bathing suit, all like oiled up and ripped. I was like, I don't think Rudy will appreciate it if I use this one.
I don't know how I feel about that yet. And it's mostly like I don't mind the picture. Obviously, it's just the fact that I have when I had shoulder surgery, coming out of the military, and like being that size and then getting shoulder surgery and dropping about 30 pounds, mostly of muscle, because there's not a whole lot you can do about it,
Yeah,
it was it's almost like a stinger. No, I think she did it on purpose. I think she's like, yeah, but can you start working out again? And I was like, yeah, soon.
Now you just need time
to
work out.
Now it's about exactly.
And it's rough, man. It's rough going back. My son over the summer wanted to go to the gym. So I'm like, all right, we can. And it's like after doing it for a couple of months, it's like my shoulder's all jacked up. I got tendonitis in my elbow already. And like, this sucks so bad. And when I lift, I like to lift. I just like to lift heavy. It makes working out tolerable. I don't particularly like lifting or working out, but when I pick up heavy things, it makes it tolerable and makes me feel better about it. Like I'm accomplishing something.
Yeah, instead of just like pushing paperweights around.
Yeah. But my body's going, you're an old man now. What are you doing? Why are you doing? So all that aside, so D&D, man, you're all over the place with that nowadays. And you've been on, we had you on over 100 episodes ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It goes by fast. And but you guys have done a lot of stuff since then. I mean, now you have the DM's Guild going on with the Adept program. You guys are doing, you're partners with Wizards of the Coast. You're streaming over on their Twitch channel. So a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah. So when we talked last, I guess that was probably before we had even started with Fury's Reach the first time. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So all we had to do is talk about Orphan Echo.
Yeah. Well, Orphan Echo, Eberron, D&D in general. We had plenty of stuff. We could have probably talked on that stream for like a couple hours straight.
Well, and the funny thing is that you and I actually did. We talked a little bit before, but then we talked for like an hour afterwards. I don't know what it would be like to have that kind of time available again.
Yeah.
So yeah, dang, that's so long ago. The D&D stuff has been explosive. The fact that it took off so quickly, like you can't see it here, but like the table that I usually talk to you guys on has a bunch of extra camera equipment like laying around all over it. There's I'll do this. I got one of these like Black Magic dual switcher things right here, and a big heli case, like a Pelican case to my left here. And an ATEM switcher over there. And this stuff would normally all be at Satine's, but because it's so hot, we decided to keep all of the extra stuff in a safe, cool location, because Hollywood versus North Hollywood is excruciatingly different.
Yeah, that's what Satine was saying yesterday. And thankfully, it appears the Google gods are with us and we have good video. It did this weird thing yesterday where it didn't record Satine at all. And she was a little pixelated anyway, but like during the video play, it's just all me, and I'm just talking to Ghost Satine.
The disembodied floating Satine in the ether.
Yes, pretty much. So now it just seems like I'm being haunted by Satine. If anyone goes back, when people go back and watch the replay.
Yeah, I'd say one of the coolest things that we get to do with D&D is the Guild Adepts thing, because we get all the content early, right? So like we would at least we did for Tomb of Annihilation get that book early when we were creating content, but I don't think when we were creating Fury's Reach, but I don't think that everybody got that Xanathars as early as I did because of Guild Adept stuff. So like basically the first, the first day that it was available.
Comes on here yesterday, rubbing it in. Now you got to follow up.
Did she rub in Xanathars? What did she?
Yeah.
I only got to watch like the tail end of the thing. So like getting to get that early is really cool, but then also like kind of being responsible for putting out new content with that, like same day DLC, that's really cool too. And I'm not sure how, like, I'm a little worried about the amount of time it's going to take. Because we're looking at dropping an additional, just one of the books that we're putting out is going to be like an additional 20 to 40 pages of stuff for Xanathars, including like new adventure stuff, a couple of subclasses. And when I say a couple, I mean more than a couple, that are all made by people who actually make subclasses for D&D, like do freelance work for that. So some of the things that we're putting out, all of the artwork, oh my God, you should see the cover today or tomorrow. But the cover for it looks like if like Xanathar's Great Gatsby kind of thing. Like it's just gorgeous. And Rich did that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Rich, really excited about it. Le
Floor?
I feel like I always butcher his name. Yeah.
We actually had him on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So, and oh my God, I feel like I don't want to take any thunder out of the when Chris Lindsay puts it up, but the cover for it is just like he made it look like it's one of the special edition covers. It's beautiful. And that's going to have a bunch of subclasses. It's going to have some new backgrounds. It's going to have additional lore. And we have James Hake working on it too. So it's me and James Introcaso doing the producing of that product. And then a bunch of the Guild Adepts, I think all but like 2, are contributing to it. And then the Joey, so James Hake is doing all of the editing for it, and Rich is doing all of the layouts, and they're both contributing work to it. And I can't tell you that other thing. I was going to say, and James Hake did X, and I can't say that. So,
but what we can say is that he also did Matt Mercer's Critical Role setting.
That we can say, yes. And he's basically a co-writer. He's one of 3 writers on that one. So he's quite accomplished and a very, very good ally to have. And he's not even an adept. So like that shows you like we're making sure that we pull in the people that are the best fit for whatever the piece is. And we're not afraid or not disallowed, I guess, to go out and pluck people to make sure that the content is grade A.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's writing for Green Ronin, so he's definitely not a schlep at that point. Like that's one of the big players out there.
Yeah, he's writing for Green Ronin. He's got more stuff coming out for Wizards proper. You'll see him with his name on it. That's the thing I can't talk about, but you'll see him with his name on a couple of books in the future.
I feel like if we just keep needling around the edges at you, we're going to break you. I need a spotlight to shine down on your face.
Yeah, I had training against that, so I think I'll be okay.
Damn it. Maybe when you're training, Rudy.
Yeah, right. So that thing, getting a hold of all of that material in advance is actually like really cool to be able to go through that. But then it gets to that point where you're like, man, I just really want to be able to talk about this with somebody. And like there's only like 10 other people that I'm actually allowed to talk to about things. And not everybody is as into mechanics as I am. So like one of my big things was like, oh man, there's these new spells and I have to learn all these new spells like now. I have to memorize all these new spells because I like to be, when we're playing and stuff, to me, when you're doing it live, like I want to be on the spot with things. No, this is what this is. This is what this is. Go. Okay, roll me. Like, I don't want to have to be like, okay, well, we'll stop and look it up.
So how does it feel to be running a game that's not in Eberron now? You're like
It's
cheating on Keith with Ed now.
I guess. I mean, you know, they both cheated on each other with each other when you think about, you know, Tolkien. So it's all a roundabout thing. I don't mind running in Faerun. I actually really like Faerun, and I know a lot of the lore because that's like, you know, when we come in playing Dungeons and Dragons, that's what we do. Faerun is the default setting. It's not Greyhawk. It's Faerun. So we put going through Adventures League, pretty much anything you play at an FLGS is going to be Faerun. So it actually just kind of felt like my second home anyway. So I was just, you know, taking a trip to my summer place.
Now
except
I'm not huge on the campaign set playing, but some of my favorite book series have definitely come out of there, like Time of Troubles, Spellfire, Pool of Radiance, like a lot of the old stuff. You know, the Moonshade Isles are really cool with the Darkwell and Darkwalkers. Like there was a ton of great books. Mel Odom did a Threat from the Sea series that was freaking amazing. So that's where all my knowledge of Forgotten Realms comes from. Reading like probably a couple hundred novels. Yeah,
I mean, and I love that. Like, I love novels. The downside, I think, is that it's hard to say. It really comes down to like what kind of history buff do you prefer to be in a lot of ways. Like where do you want to logic in your science? Where do you want to do? A lot of people really love Dragonlance, and those are the novels that I picked up first. I had a friend who was super into magic in high school, and there wasn't a whole lot of lore out about magic at the time. I'm sure he would have been a very big reader of books like that. But he handed me the Dragonlance, basically the entire sextet, like that whole first saga. And then I read those. I mean, I still have a box, probably like, let's see if I've got a box around here. I probably have like a box that's like about 4 feet by 4 feet that is just filled with books that I don't have enough shelf space for. And they're all just those little tiny, you know, standard novels. I love Dragonlance. And actually at Matt Mercer's wedding, me and Joe just sat there and talked about Dragonlance and how we would do a movie for Dragonlance and how we would like what we would write in for that, and like what characters would be the main characters, and how to go at like which character's eyes to watch the majority of the thing through. But Faerun as a setting is the thing that I like about Faerun as a setting is you don't know what the entire world looks like. Unexplored content that we just never get around to before like a spell plague happens, kind of thing, you know. They've given us a map to a degree, but there's always edges to the map that are not there. Whereas with Eberron, we know the entire map. With Dragonlance, Greyhawk, any of that, Blackmoor even, like we have a pretty good idea of what the majority of the area looks like. So I think that's what gives me a lot of fun ideas about Faerun, is that like, what if Faerun is just the Truman Show? Like, what if Eberron is actually on the outside and Faerun is just some little thing that they keep, and every now and then they're like, hey, we're gonna add a continent. We're just gonna like float in Maze Tekka for them, you know? Like, we just want to see what they're gonna do. And they're like watching from airships above. Like, that would be great.
I love
now
it.
I have an idea for another series.
So with that, let's segue into the game you're actually running, Fate of the Furious, right?
So this one is Fury's Fate, and it is the aftermath of Fury's Reach. Satine has Sirens of the Realms, which still takes place in the same universe. We have interactions with some of the same people. On her first episode, she had Calithe, the Storm Sorceress, from her table for Fury's Reach. And for anybody who isn't like familiar with Fury's Reach, basically what Satine and I did was we a campaign with 8 or 10 other players, and we wove the story in and out to where they would find things, or they could mess up story plot for each other, or they could trap a thing. There was just, we made a lot of effort to we took a lot of effort to make the story have resonance for viewers the whole time, back and forth, no matter what your level of expertise with Faerun is, or any type of Chult. But we really put a lot of effort into going back and forth and finding those little moments that would even resonate with the players, so that we could give the players those moments. Because then that's, as a fan, when you see that stuff coming up, or like if you're watching that on TV, you know, you'd be like, oh, I wonder if they're going to find the thing. Are they going to find the thing? And then, so that kind of ups the level of suspense. So with Fury's Fate, mine is basically a continuation of who's left alive and who's still on the continent. Or I guess it's a peninsula at this point. I don't know if Chult counts as its own continent. And we're taking that and dealing with the aftermath. And what they were really after in the first one was this gem that was like a heart-sized emerald that was supposed to be something powerful enough when fully charged to combat Asururak and the Death Curse. And they blew it up by accident. So now it's about how do they find out, like, what's the next step in that? And it kind of puts them, it kind of evens them out with like other adventurers and other adventuring parties that are going there now. Like, they had a little bit of a head start had they gotten that gem. See, like, they already knew about it and knew what was going on, because most of the stuff that we're doing is canonical, just like canonical, just like the stuff for the adepts that we release is becoming canon. This campaign all fits in, and so like Chris Perkins and I are talking about how we're weaving stuff in and out with dice camera action and that, and we've got C Team as a thing where we're trying to like pull in parts of their universe to make sure that we're all in one cohesive place. And the funny thing about that is too, is like different dungeon masters have different types of games. I traditionally like to have more of a pulp noir kind of feel, where there are moments of high adventure and high excitement, but you do have a lot of very gritty, very realistic people getting the piss beat out of them, and maybe not like really having to drag themselves through finish lines to survive. So Fury's Fate is basically just that, where we're taking some of the characters that are left, seeing how their failures of Fury's Reach, in fact, impact who they are now. And we're blessed to have really good role players and people who even go so far as to write, you know, in character voice, write me journal stuff in between sessions, so that I can see like where their heads are at, what things are affecting them, and what things I can really pull, like which strings I'm allowed to pull on to really affect them. Yeah.
So who's the chronicler for all of this? Do you guys have to just like follow along with all these other stories going on? Do you guys get the crib notes from each of the GMs, or you guys kind of pass them back and forth?
So it's kind of like that. What we're trying to do, and this is something that it's the organization of it, obviously, that is the biggest logistical issue, right? Because we have so many things going on. So it's about deciding which streams may or may not be there over the long term. And I think that what we're trying to do is, we're obviously one that's just like a meat grinder campaign, where like every week they just have people on and they're just churning people out. That's probably not going to be a part of it unless we can unless there's some fun thing in there where we can pluck that and say like, oh, you don't want to go here because they're just gonna like mow through you. But for the most part, like if you're looking at a campaign that has a long-running group of heroes that we're pretty positive are going to survive for a while, then those are ones that we're going to wrap in. And to some people, I think it might be about IP, but for us, we're really about, maybe it's the actual, like maybe it's the Hollywood storyteller part of me, but I don't care about whether or not people survive. I care about the story being a good story. And if somebody in our campaign dies, they're off and they're dead, and we only do one person, like one actor per character. So that's kind of one of the things that makes us so appealing in a canon sense, because if they die and there's no resurrection, then that's it. Which is coincidentally one of the things I really like about Eberron, because in Eberron, unless you're a PC that has the ability to resurrect things, you're gonna be really hard pressed to find a cleric that's a high enough level to do any type of resurrection, or to even like be able to keep a corpse fresh for a few days in order to get somebody to raise them.
Yeah, in Eberron, an super powerful NPC is like 12th level, and there's like 5 of them. So, unlike other places like Forgotten Realms, it's like you can't throw a stone without hitting an Archmage. But
yeah, Elminster's like what, level 50 or something like that. Like, you'd be like, oh, okay, like multi-class back into wizard multiple times. What are you gonna do?
You actually answered the question that that I was going to ask. And, you know, because we stream the Saver Dice game, and this is a conversation we had to have beforehand, is like, well, what's going to happen? What happens, you know, to characters if they die? Are we going to have character death in the game? You know, or are we going to try and keep the story going? And we kind of unanimously agreed, no, this is D&D, and D&D you can die. It's not the goal of the game, but it just sometimes it happens. You know, depending on what type of game you're running. And we went a step further, and we're like, and if your character is the character that dies, you have to go out and buy new art. So,
yeah. Oh, that's a great idea, because we have so we're kind of known, I think, for our intros, right? And unfortunately, when you're doing CGI things, it takes a while for new stuff to happen, because it's expensive. It eats up a lot of budget. And we kind of went with a little bit of a mix this time with what we had from before, but also one of the things that we did early on in Orphan Echo, which was the characters, like getting to see the people and then seeing them change into the characters, which is something we did for Orphan Echo. But it's not something that we did for Fury's Reach. In Fury's Reach, we like came in, and then you got to see the characters in their art entirely, and then we moved off to the next thing. But we really like the idea that you can put a face with that character, and not just the character that kind of looks like that person. So we're working on that part right now. We have a very talented artist that is not Satine working on our character art for the very near future. I hope that it's done before the campaign is over, and I really hope that it's done before the characters die, because it would really suck for us to get, like, we have such a good artist doing it, and then like the moment he finishes one character, they're dead.
You just hand them the character portrait with a big X on it.
I mean, maybe like one of the things I wanted to do, we just didn't have time, but one of the things I wanted to do for Fury's Reach was when one of the characters died, I wanted to gray them out and like just like make them super bloodied and then like gray them out. But when you're running the productions like we are, where, you know, Satine and I produce basically all of the content on our own. We sometimes have a switcher, but everything that happens on the back end, from the lighting, the camera technology, all of the internet stuff, all of the creative work, all of the stuff we do for Adepts, like that's just the two of us. We don't have the means yet to expand, and we're not lucky enough like you to have a family, you know, encroached around us of people that we have been gaming with and know they can produce things on a certain level for a while, and are willing to just kind of like up and do it without a whole bunch of money involved in it. We don't have the funds, and like Wizards, being a Wizards partner is great. It does not drop 6 figures in your lap to be able to create a business, you know?
No, I totally get that. We were kind of constantly and forever hustling. So Doug asked the question is, what is that unpacked brick of minis behind Ruty? If so, why aren't they opened?
So one of the things that we like to do is giveaways, and we have a couple. I'll just show you guys the giveaways that we just recently had on our stream. So we have the brand new Dice 10 for Stream Annihilation. These are really awesome. They have they're like the only matte dice that I've seen. I actually have, let me put this one over here so I don't get it out of my order, but I have one. I'll just open one up right now. Because I haven't opened mine yet. I hope that wasn't too much static or anything like that. So I've got my set right here that I will open up. Did you get a set yet?
Is that a dice? The dice?
The dice in?
The dice set? Yeah. I actually have an unopened one here too, sitting on my desk. I actually ordered.
All right, so we'll be the only people that ever do co-unboxing.
Yeah. I heard a lot of complaints about the dice themselves, like they didn't like how they look, but I didn't order it for the dice, to be honest with you. I ordered it for that sweet tin.
I know, like, right? That tin is amazing. Well, no, I like I like it. That's
yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta do the thing, right?
Yeah. There you go. Well, I don't know, why don't people like the dice?
I don't think they like the matte finish. It's like people complained about the matte finish and and the color, but they look fine to me.
I like them. I think that they're cool. The only thing that I thought that they would have a little bit more of is I thought they would be like a little bit more molted, like a little bit of other colors of green in there. Some of the yellow, like I'm a real big fan of like this like acrid kind of green. But I think they're great, and I love that the one thing that Wizards does for you when they like commission the dice and all that other stuff is they make sure that there are enough D6s in there that you're not rolling that D6 over and over and over and over. Yeah, you're gonna have to roll it twice for a fireball or like if you're a rogue of a high level, but if you're that invested in the game that you're at near 10th level and you need to roll 6 to 10 D6s for your sneak attack, you should probably already have more than one set of dice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. James Carden in the chat, Dave and Rudy, I love you both. Two of my favorite role models. I'm running a game for my friends and loving it. Yeah, well, I'm probably going to destroy that a little bit because you know what? I'd be using this tin for late 80s, early 90s. But that was a long time ago.
Whoa. I think that might be the first time I've ever heard. I'm not going to open it. I think that might be the first time I've ever heard a role model for me so far.
Weird.
So this is one of the other things that we have. We do little giveaways with that have the miniatures, the big bricks here. We'll do those every now and then. We've been lucky enough to also pair with like Perfect World to get like codes for Neverwinter, and that's been really cool because they gave us some exclusive mounts that we could give away, and we actually still have a bunch for Xbox and PlayStation 4 that we're just gonna like rapid fire give those away. It just depends on how soon we can get into the studio, because we got to do a lot of prep work first before we know what our raffle prizes are going to be for the day. We've got the new adventure grids, which are pretty sweet, but I haven't even gone through and opened mine to see like exactly how nice, how well they work on the table. I could open that, but I'm not gonna. And then we have the Tomes and Traps, a special edition thing that is also part of those minis. And you can see on the back there, like what's on them. And we go through and sign them too, but little note for you guys, this is terrible to actually sign because Sharpies don't work so well on this material specifically. But we tried. So, a fan gets that too. Yeah, so they send us really cool stuff to send out. And sometimes if Satine and I are at a convention and we see something that's really awesome, we'll just get it. So and we've had a couple of people, what's up?
So I was just going to say for you folks following along, in the description, there's a bunch of links to find Maze Arcana and Ruty, as well as their schedule, your streaming schedule as it is currently. So if you guys want to have the chance to win stuff, you should probably go over there and watch them while they stream.
Yeah, please do. We've signed a couple of the boxes when people ask. Basically, like if we win them, they're like, "Oh my God, will you please sign them?" We'll be like, "Okay, sure." Like just because it's ready and it's available. And that'll usually just be with like whichever cast is there and available for the day. Because wrangling these things to send out, and the shipping and all that stuff can be a pain if we have to like get them back and then like, you know, redo it.
There's like 3 of us that need to sign stuff when we sign stuff, and that's hard enough. And we regularly meet together, you know, in the same spot. Hey, Rachel in the chat, is that the Rachel that I've met at
That's probably I bet that is, and I bet that is the Rachel that is actually our grand historian. You were talking earlier about you asked me how we're going to keep all of the streams straight. Well, she's a mod for D&D, so she actually does watch a good bit of the content to make sure that the chat stays a safe place for people, and we don't get a whole bunch of people in there that are you know, yelling at our girls or anything like that or trying to dispute rules, you know, when I come up with something that I play off the cuff. We don't like that, especially because I probably know the rules better than most people besides Crawford. And if I choose to bend a rule, I'm doing it for DM agency kind of thing. Or if we have, we're very blessed to have some very attractive people on it. If we have girls in there that are very attractive and some grognard or some troll in the basement wants to come out and scream at them and say lewd and lascivious things, Rachel is one of the ones with the paladin sword of moderation that keeps people from really like making the chat a toxic place to be. But she is our grand historian. So she takes down rolls sometimes, she takes out stats, she follows general story stuff and does little write-ups for us to help make sure that some of the things that we tried to do, like I need to make sure that this got across to the audience. If it's not in her notes, then I probably didn't do a good enough job of impressing that. Either that or she had to get up and like go walk the dog or something. I don't know. But she's our grand historian, and she's a mod for D&D, and she's a pretty good deal. She
might have been smiting.
She loves to smite trolls when they get a little too aggressive. Yeah.
Oh, also, figuring to pull it out every once in a while, we get the cam girls that start showing up in the chat. They have to be shown the door.
Yeah, yeah. Did she have a question or something like that? I didn't see.
No. Someone else had mentioned about how we have cam girls. They haven't seen any cam girls in the chat lately. So
yeah, I
get all kinds of spam.
I don't even know. Gotcha. Oh yeah. No, she's actually really good too about like a lot of chat rooms, especially if you use like Nightbot or something. A lot of chat rooms are very quick to just disallow all links, but she actually checks out the links in advance. And that way, if you post something that's up there that initially one of the auto moderation bots takes care of and says no, she'll actually go through and be like, nope, this is relevant to the stream. This is relevant to what they're saying. And she makes sure to like put up, for instance, like Extra Life. Like I have Extra Life, Satine has an Extra Life. I think Satine's pretty close to or has already reached her goal while I am struggling to get there. I think I've only had 1 or 2 donations, and then the 2 that I did for myself. So anybody that's out there that wants to do some good stuff for some kids, mine is for Gainesville, Florida's, Gainesville, the Children's Hospital down there. And if you want to donate, you know, help out some people that have been impacted by the hurricanes, that would probably be, you know, a good thing of you to do if you're feeling like maybe you want to get some good karma before Halloween, maybe.
I will have to get that link into the description for you.
Yeah, we probably should do that. I've got it around the side. But that's basically what we're about, is trying to make sure that D&D remains a welcome place, because they've done such a good job with inclusivity recently. I don't like to say diversity because I feel like that it to some people has made things feel exclusive, like, oh, well, we want more of this person, so we don't need any more of you. I like inclusivity because it's more of like a family. And to me, especially when
enough is never enough.
Right. And when you're talking about a community, like a community needs to have a little bit of everybody so that we have all of those ideas. And if you're turning people away, it's the idea of like, well, what great idea did you just turn away because you were too focused on an appearance? We don't need to be focused on appearance in general. That's kind of the whole point of the inclusivity movement, is that you shouldn't be focused on that. You should be focused on what can you do to, like, what kind of kindness can you spread in hopes that that actually builds a better future for tomorrow, as opposed to, oh, no, we need this color of a future for tomorrow. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, exactly. We got a couple questions in the chat too. So Geek and Undies, if Ruty could
Geek and Undies?
Yeah, that's the name. If Ruty could resurrect any retired D&D product line, Planescape, Ravenloft, etc., what would he bring back?
I don't think any of them are dead. What is
I think I think what they're saying is official support. And if you guys know anything about Maze Arcana, this should be kind of like a no-brainer. So
yeah, I feel like that's kind of obviously I would love to see Eberron coming back, which is something that we had a conversation with at Mercer's wedding as well. But I would say that I love Dragonlance. I love Eberron, and I would love to have a little bit more playtime for things like Dark Sun and maybe even or Space Jammer or something along those lines. I know that we're going to get Greyhawk very soon, I'm sure, just because it's Merle's like favorite. He loves the original. He's so old school that he's like, nope, this is what I want to do. So I'm sure we're going to get that in the future. Blackmore, I don't know. But I think that one of the things that they're going to try to do is figure out a way to sync it all up to where the material plane just has like different levels. And at least, and this is not something that I know of or you could quote me on, but I think that the idea is Faerun will be like kind of the middle ground, and then you'll have levels that go up and levels that go down that are still material plane, but are just kind of like Elminster's portal to Wisconsin, where he shares beers with, anybody, kind of thing. So I think that I'd like to see a lot of those things come back, but at the same time, I don't want us to drown the marketplace to where we fracture this community that we're building.
Part of me would rather see something new that I haven't seen yet, because like you can find those materials. I believe on Drive-Thru RPG, all those old settings are there that you can get the PDFs for. So like you can still play those, and 5th edition is the easiest edition to convert things in and out of. I mean, four stuff is a little bit harder, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. So I'd just love to see something I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I would say that like probably the hardest conversion stuff that I've seen or that I've had to do was stuff from mid to early 2nd edition that is just kind of geared, and it's not because it's a hard conversion in a 1-to-1 ratio. It's just that the focus of something, for instance, the Illrigger is Matt Koval's favorite class and favorite subclass for the Paladin. He loves the fact that it's lawful evil, and there were all these things. That was like the first round of non-lawful good paladins that were available. And if you subclass, it's all about basically minions, just minions everywhere. It's the Diablo 2 Necromancer, where there's just 1,000 skeletons running around on your screen, making it impossible for your video card to keep up. And the thing that is important to take out of that is sometimes design is not necessarily about matching mechanics 1-for-1. It's about matching the feeling of what it is you're trying to do. So you can see this a lot through Tomb of Annihilation, feeling very much like Tomb of Horrors. But in the case of the Illrigger, the idea is that Illrigger is somebody who sets things up in motion, and you want to give them things that allow for that, but without direct control. So charm spells don't make a whole lot of sense because that's direct control over a thing. You want to be able to set things in motion. You want to be able to give your allies something a little devious that is going to embolden them to do things in a specific way. So when I created it for Matt Koval to play in his campaigns, and even on the Stream of Annihilation with Nation Stewart, ended up playing the Illrigger because Koval had to go home earlier. They were very impressed with the fact that the Illrigger felt exactly like it should without being overpowered from having a bunch of little commoners running around it, plinking on things. which, you know, let's be honest, one fireball and a bunch of commoners are all gone. They all die. So what's the point in that if you just have to go out and recruit them again?
So can we expect to see that somewhere sometime soon?
Maybe. Depends on if you're yeah.
We'll have to keep our eyes peeled. TrueMate has a question for you. Any new shows in the future with earlier time slots for some of us outside of the USA, or is that a consideration for you guys trying to figure out when is the best time to stream? You know, to reach the broadest audience.
I think that they have a pretty good. I mean, I would love to hear when would be the best time for some of the European time zones. I know that we have people that get up at 3 a.m. you know, to watch us. We have people that are there. The Australian time zone is a tough one for us, and I know that's why Wizards went to excruciating lengths to find partners in England and in Australia, so that there would be good moments in there. But even the 2 o'clock time frame is tough, and like the One Grung Above game, if anybody remembers that from Stream of Annihilation, like we had Koval, Holmes, we had all of these people that are kind of spattered around different time zones. They aren't just in one area. They're not just in LA or San Francisco. We had people across some of the Dragon Friends guys, and we tried to organize a 2 p.m. game for that, where we now play One Grung, which we can talk about in a minute. But that game is even slotted wrong to get Britain in there, so we can't get him in. And you even know how much of a hassle, I wouldn't say hassle, but how much planning it requires for me to make a 9 a.m. stream for you, which is like a noon kind of thing. I would love to hear what they think would be a great one to be able to catch most of Europe, because maybe I would work on trying to put something in there. I can say in the future we do have a couple of streams that we are in the works on, one involving Magic, the Magic World, for the Magic the Gathering, and one involving another property that we can't talk about yet. And that one has the possibility of being a different time slot that might work a little better with Europe.
Nice, that's awesome. So, guys, I want to jump into the roll call. I want you guys to sound off where you're coming to us from. Jim Davis from WebDM has a question for you, and that is, what sort of Dragonlance campaign would you run?
What kind of Dragonlance campaign would I run?
Yeah. Oh, before you answer that, I have a quick question though about Dragonlance. Do you remember the Talatis campaign setting for Dragonlance?
The which one?
It was like Talatis or something like that. It was like an island, and they had these friggin' death gnomes. Like there was an order of gnomes that they would they were, I forget who they were locked in war with. There's some kind of like fiery race, but they would hold a funeral for their warriors before they died, because they disavowed their previous life, and they were just dedicated to this order, and outside of that nothing else existed for them. That, and you know, whatever the goals of that order, which were to protect their kingdom.
But I do like that idea. It feels a lot like the way that the Knights of Takhisis worked too, where you basically, there was one law and you followed that one law, and that was it. And if you messed with anything, it would be that. I would say, like, if I was going to be silly and I had a table of silly players, because obviously, like, you need to cater your games a little bit towards your players. So if I were to have a group of people that I knew were going to want to be a little silly and want to beat around the bush a little bit, I would probably... All of a
sudden, we're getting some static on your end. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Oh, no. Could be the AC. Hold on 1 second.
Yep. So while he's checking that out, I will go find the roll call. Talad. Oh, yeah, you got it, Brian F. That's exactly it. And it was such a fun setting. So the campaign was Taladas, and it was Taladas.
Yeah, it does look familiar to me. I don't remember playing that game, specifically that campaign setting. But what I would say is that if I were going to have a group of silly people, I would probably play some mix of gnomes and gully dwarves, because I just love the idea of a gnome explaining something way too fast. Like, when I think of a gnome and I think of how they're supposed to act, I think the Dragonlance did a fantastic job of gnomes distinct and unique. But I also love the way that Keith made his being almost the complete opposite, where they're just very like relaxed and refined. And no, it's okay. We know we're smarter than you. And like, look over there. Haha, that was just an illusion. Whereas the gnomes in Dragonlance really just talk as fast as they can, because they just want to make sure that you hear everything they have to say, including their entire name, which is about 17 other names, very long and like that. I love that idea too, because it's very distinct.
Mount Nevermind. Still getting the static. My favorite book, one of my favorite books from Dragonlance was King Flint. I don't know if it would hold up, but I just remember it being hilarious when I read it when I was a teenager.
Pretty much anything with the gully dwarves being a thing, and they provided some very useful comic relief during the heaviness that you had during the original 4 books during the saga. But I love all of the meeting of the sextet, and I forget what the series was called, when it just grabbed those individual characters and just did like either like what happened before, like how they got there kind of thing. I loved all that stuff. But if I were going to do a serious campaign, because I know that my thing, especially for Eberron, is very much that I'm going to give you a game that makes you question what your character's beliefs are. I would totally run 2 games at the same time, one with the Knights of Takhisis and one with the Knights of Solamnia, and have it be where the Knights could make a decision at some point to switch campaigns if necessary. And then I would be keeping score and have like a map with like held. I would basically just make it risk with the Knights of Solamnia, and probably have some Lord Soft and whatnot going around in there as well.
Nice. I'm going to jump into the chat for the roll call now. We got Jay in Portugal. We have True Mate. He's been hanging out with us. He's in Wales, UK. We've got Doug in Cleveland. Evil Silly Putty is in Minnesota. Raven's coming to us from the OZ. Seattle, Washington with Friganator. Dallas in the house with Todd. We got James in Georgia. AJ Kenny is in Lopez Island, Washington. We got Jacksonville in the house with John from Florida. We got Brian Collin in Georgia. We have John Hodges in Denver. We've got Paul in Pittsburgh, Circleville, Ohio with Geeks and Undie. Elfbait is in Edmonds, Washington. We've got Lincoln in Sweden. We've got DC Lasser in Michigan. We've got Patrick, who's also in Sweden. We've got Sean coming to us from Santa Barbara. Arkansas is in the house with War Eagle Keep. We have Soul Free Wolf from South Dakota. We've got 343 Burling Legion from conservative Hell's, Kansas. Jacob is in Louisiana. We've got Chattanooga in the house, Tennessee with Fish Island. Jim Davis is in Burlington, Vermont. Western Australia with that one lazy guy. Cody Sams is in Oklahoma. And they're claiming the gnomes are what's getting to the stream.
Oh yeah, maybe there's a gully dwarf in my processor, or a Kender probably just took it. We got somebody here from Sharn. That's good, Sharn Braylon. Much appreciated.
Yes, we got Spellhawk Press in Pittsburgh, Kansas. We've got Cody Sampson. Sounds like a mic short. Maybe. Hopefully your head does not get electrocuted on stream. That would be bad.
Yeah.
We got Columbus, Ohio in the house with Rachel. Brian F is in New York City. Fort Lauderdale with Andrew. Sharn Breland from Pokemon for What? Erie, PA with Joey. We got Illinois in the house with John. Texas with Morbo. We've got Knoxville, Tennessee with Jeffrey. So we got people coming in from all over the place, which is always cool. See some Colorado with Keegan. So thanks everyone for tuning in from wherever you may be. It's always one of the
shout out to the Arcanites that are here representing already. I saw a good number of names in there that are stalwart watchers of pretty much everything Maze Arcana. We see them on pretty much everything. I think our community is pretty much sitting at about 100-ish on any given stream that we have as dedicated people. The other streams that we're running on D&D can get up to 1,000 to anywhere between 1,000 to 5,000 or 6,000, depending on what's going on that day, what kind of mode we're in the story. For TwitchCon, we had 2,000 people that were there watching. We gave away some really awesome stuff, including some black magic stuff. Basically, all of the betrayals, the new betrayal of Baldur's Gate, but also the House on the Hill and the expansion for that one while we were there, and Tales from Candle's Keep. We have some codes for that we got to give out, which were I really like that game too. So we had a lot of opportunities there to kind of create that community, and we've noticed that people tend to want to stay because of how awesome those other people that are in there are. I saw a question in there that I wouldn't mind hitting. Do I play DDO? And what am I excited about all the stuff they're doing? Yeah, so actually we've had a lot of conversations with the DDO people, and we're talking to them about how to intertwine the Orphan Echo stuff into Eberron and into DDO lore, etc. But also what the plane jumping means in terms of Mist of Ravenloft, or any of the moments where some of the characters from DDO can jump over to Faerun, which is happening now. We play on the Kyber server, and that's Satine has the character there. I have a character there. Kurt, who plays Kuzail, has a character there. And we definitely play some of that. We play a little bit of Neverwinter. The thing is, like, when do we find the time to do those things? And we kind of have to block out in like a week or two in advance when we can sit down and play for an hour or two. If you want to know my character's name, it's the same character that I was playing during Savage Nation. So anybody that wants to go and watch Savage Nation can find out who I am there. And if you are a fan of DDO, or like those are all free. DDO is free to play right now. Idle Champions is another one that I can play because I can just let it run in the background. And we give out codes for all of those. We actually have an Arcanite code for DDO that gets you a free Mimic pet points, and same stuff with like Idle Champions and Neverwinter. We routinely get new codes and bug them for things that we can give to people watching.
We had briefly entertained the DDO thing for a while. I want to say a year or two ago, and we're just like, we just didn't have the time to block out. That is always the hardest part. And also too, like for us with that kind of stuff, it's like we all have wives and kids too, so it's like you know, we have to figure out when we can balance everything out and do the Nerdarchy stuff, and to add something like a video game to it is time consuming. And I'm also a little fearful of starting up any new addictions.
Yeah, that's a worthwhile thing. And besides, like, we have to continue to create things, right? So if we stop and we get addicted to something, like I love Overwatch, just because it's something I can pick up, do for in theory, it's something I can pick up and do for 15 minutes and then walk away from it. In practice, 15 minutes becomes 4 hours if I'm not careful, and then I look at the clock and I'm like, oh man, all the other things that I had to do. You know, it can be a lot, especially, you know, when you think about like, oh, I need to factor in all these other things that I have to do in life, like make sure that my car registration is taken care of, make sure that my insurance is paid, and then the tech stuff on top of that. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say I don't really sleep. I get a few hours a night maybe, and then sometimes I'll get like a day where I can sleep for a full 8. And usually that ends up being like a 12-hour coma. But then I know that I need to give myself that so that I can make it through the rest of the week. Because basically Sunday through Wednesday night is just a sprint every week. And then after that, it's about, okay, what are the things that I need to pick up? What balls did I drop over the week that I need to pick back up? For instance, we just had to order a bunch of new lights so that we could have a less grainy appearance to our cameras, because we have some studio cameras, they require a little bit more light. And we just had to, find money in the budget and do that. And we don't have any sponsorships yet either. Besides Wizards, we're not really sponsored by anybody. So if you're out there and you want to sponsor us, you can. And then if you don't have a company or something, you just want to hang out and help us out there, we have a Patreon just like these guys do. And that goes a long way into making sure that we can afford what we need to get the lights on. And keep things running there so we can continue to create that content.
And eating is good too. Eating, have a place to live.
I haven't eaten yet. I haven't eaten it yet. Yeah, I mean, and where, I got to find an hour to, I wish I could play DDO and work out at the same time. It's just not really something you can do.
You need the virtual reality version, so it's like, it counts.
Yeah, I hope we're getting somewhat close to that, at least with like AR or something, right? Like I have the goggles on and I can be like powerlifting gnomes or something. I don't know.
Whatever it takes. I know I was really close to breaking when they came out with StarCraft 2. I was like, oh man, I really just want to play a little bit, but I resisted. There would be no Nerdarchy. I'd be like, yeah, guys, you don't get videos anymore. I'm just playing StarCraft.
Yeah, I quit. I'm out. But that's the other side of that too. Is that you and I are kind of in this place where we're lucky that this is what we do with the majority of our time, and we had to work really hard to get here. And there are a lot of other people that do the same thing we're doing with full-time jobs. I know that a lot of the authors on the DMs Guild are not full-time authors. They have other jobs. They do other things. Even a lot of the people that are our Adventures League admins and whatnot all have other jobs. You don't make enough money in the tabletop world right now to be able to do that by itself. And people that are making enough to keep a business alive like that are really focusing that energy and effort into keeping the business alive and not necessarily sustaining themselves much further than that. So it's great that we're back on the rise, and I think that tabletop is going to grow back into the industry that it, at least what it's to a degree of what it was. And I think that the technology is actually finally, this is odd to say, but I think technology is starting to catch up with tabletop in the sense of it's enabling more tabletop playing instead of enabling more video game playing, because at a certain point we all kind of yearn to be near each other and do things like that. And even when you accomplish you finish the in-game content in an MMO, you still turn your computer off after everybody else has passed out. You look around and you're like, well, I don't really have anybody to share that with here. And the great thing about tabletop is you have all of these people that you see on a regular basis, and hopefully these are all people that are your friends that you spend more time outside of just D&D together with, and you can have those similar experiences and enjoyments. And then talk about it.
In this day and age where we're so connected by social media and technology, we're like more disconnected from actual human beings than ever. You're right. Actually playing tabletop games with people at a table, it's almost like a unique experience of the thing that everyone used to kind of do. But now we live all these like virtual lives. So it's just another benefit of this industry and this hobby.
Yeah. I did see something about tabletop gaming with Tues, I guess. We have Xbox One codes if you want to swing in today on our game. We'll see about giving out some codes for the Xbox and the PS4. Somebody said Do I think that we're going to be seeing some adventures happening in some more planes because they've released some subclasses, or they've started teasing some for Xanathars that have that? I think that you're talking about the Ranger, and I can't think of many other ones that are geared specifically towards that. But I think that Ranger would work really well during the Prince of Apocalypse storyline, but also, yeah, why wouldn't we go check out some of the other planes when you're starting to talk about now people have characters that are in the tier 4 level. Like, that's what you do in tier 4, is you're dealing with threats on a cosmic or galactic sense. So those planes can be represented. I know at Eberron we like to represent the planes kind of by the moons that are associated with them, and that doesn't mean you're going to that moon, but it just means that there are always ways to have portals and stuff like that. And the Plane Ranger 2, the way that I'm reading it, is also about mostly just like mass transit, fast travel, detection kind of things. So that's the one for chasing down the guy who just jumped a portal to another plane or something like that, making sure that your group can follow them no matter what level you are, versus needing another wizard immediately.
Yeah, it's a Truemate.
Kind of thing.
That question was from Thruman, I believe. And Truemate says we got Horizon Walker, Shadow Sorcerer, and Phage Roads as well. Yeah, I think the Circle of the Dream or Twilight, I'm not sure what they call it, druid for that's coming up too. I think that one has some of those like abilities as well. And it sounded like well, actually, you knew better than I. You got the book, but it sounded like
the Phage Druid.
Yeah. Dreams, Circle of Dreams, I think it is.
Circle of Dreams. Yes. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna pull it up right now. Yeah. So go ahead and keep talking while I look at my secure document here.
Yeah. Not only do you have it as a PDF too. Like that's the double whammy.
Well, I mean, they can't send me the book before it's printed, but I have to have it. So.
Yeah. I guess that rank has privileges.
Assuming rank is what we're calling this thing.
Yeah. I also had something I wanted to bring up on screen too. While you're looking that up, I'll see if I can't find the thing to show you guys and see if Rudy's familiar with this. So can you guys see that? The Google has been known to mess with me a little bit when it comes to screen sharing. But it looks like I don't think it's showing it. You son of a monkey's uncle. I will attempt again. I feel like it's a thing people must see. All right, come on, Google, do your thing.
Yeah, I don't really see anything in the Druid description for traversing planes per se.
All right, can you guys see that now? We were talking about this a little bit when Satine was...
Oh, my tie.
Yeah. It's like it's your hallmark. It's your signature. It's the thing that you're known for.
Yeah, I was like, oh God, what knot did I do? And I just remember I did the simple slip through for this one. Rangers.
So I believe that what is that? That's the hand of Vecna. It looks like the fist of Vecna, but
so I call that one the grip of Vecna, and I did that because obviously everybody, all of our friends from Critical Role were at Matt's wedding, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to go or not, and so one of the things that I did, I tried to order a brand new vest and brand new tie with matching shoes for it. Nothing like grandiose, but just like this kind of like black with bronze, like brown bronze kind of embroidery on them, just to be a little bit more formal and black tie. And then when those things fell through at the last minute, I was like, okay, what can I do to show
TrueMate wants to know how many ties that you have. How many do you own? Also, why don't you become a tie sponsor, man? That's where it's at.
Yeah, I thought about trying to reach out to somebody about that, but I just don't. Again, sponsorship stuff, like, you know how hard that is, right? And it takes time and it takes negotiations. I write all of our contracts on my own, so and I'm a stickler for mechanics, including legal mechanics. So I make sure that they're good contracts, and it takes me a while. I'm not a 20-year veteran of a law firm. So getting sponsorships, including a tie sponsorship, unless you can come to me with it, it's going to be pretty tough for me to go out and seek something like that. But I would also like a vest sponsorship. One of the things that I'm trying to do. Let's see if I've got one.
Just a men's fashion.
So I would really love to take the Tomb of Annihilation and make a vest pattern with that. So we have a couple more of these. So there's some of them. I have a little stash that I'm holding to get a vest like that made. But we have a couple of them that we have signed as well that we will eventually give some more away. There's super limited edition, and it's kind of like that thing. By the way, if anybody has the cloth map of Corvair from the 2004 supplement material, let me know.
Dude, there's a guy that prints those out.
No. There's a cloth map.
Yeah.
The ones that I've seen.
Yeah, there's a guy that does them on cloth.
I've seen a couple of there's a silk one or something like that, but I want the actual cloth one that they had from the book.
Yeah,
I need to put that up in my house. That needs to be in my life. But yeah, like things like that. I have a couple of other vest designs that I would love to get done, and I would gladly, get made so that other people could buy them if they wanted to. But it's not like a T-shirt where you can just go on, 356 or whatever it is, and make a print.
And be like, give me this time. Lupini says, yes, Rudy, if you get that made, I will buy the hell out of that.
Right? Like, I mean, I love when some of our Arcanites are like sending me, if you do like #TieCheck or something like that, there's people that are sending me photos or tagging me in a photo of their tie, and like a tie knot they do, or of a vest they do, or like their Sunday attire. I love that. I love that we are in a field that is usually known for like just sweaty dudes in t-shirts or something like that, yet we're gussying it up. One of the big DMs that we did that did a lot of DMing, very creative DM here in LA for Adventures League. Whenever we would have cons, he came in he would just always come in his Sunday best. So it would be like the two of us kind of like squaring off sometimes, and he'd have like this little hat and stuff that he would do on occasion. But he wore it well. It wasn't like he had like it was all oversized or it was all like too tight. Like he knew what he was doing, and it was nice to have that kind of a flair, because that's something people look at and they go, "Oh, what are they doing? They're playing Dungeons and Dragons." Kind of thing. It's fun.
That is funny. We are well past the hour mark now, and I'm sure you have things to do. I know I do. The unfortunate part about having you on, Ruty, is I could sit here and talk to you for hours. But I do appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everyone hanging out with us. So until next time, guys, stay nerdy. Go check out Maze Arcana and see all the links in the description.